Hey guys, really good to be back with you all again today. We're going to be talking about equivalent fractions again today. And the specific skill we're going to talk about is 3.3f, and that's represent equivalent fractions with denominators of 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8, using a variety of objects and pictorial models, including number lines. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to say, I can use models and number lines to show equivalent fractions. We'll review the vocabulary. The important vocabulary is numerator, and that's the top number of the fraction right there, and the number shaded or being counted. And the denominator is the bottom number in the fraction, and that's the total number of equal parts that represent a whole. So if I, cut a candy bar into 3 equal pieces and I eat one of them, that means I eat 1/3 of the candy bar. We've got a few videos. We've seen these videos before, but just a little reminder on how to do this skill. And basically, we're going to be making a strip diagram that we're going to use to compare fractions. We used it to represent fractions earlier in the year. And we're going to use a number line to compare fractions, just like we did towards the beginning of the year. So let's get ready and watch that video. We're going to talk about finding points on a number line. And what we're going to do is we're going to make some number lines and identify the points on those number lines. You can see I went ahead and I drew 5 number lines here. The first one I'm going to separate into halves. The next one I'll separate into thirds. 4, 6, and 8. So you can see right here, I got 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/6, and 1/8. And we're going to identify each one of those points on these number lines. So I went ahead and I drew the number lines 24 lines long because I can separate 24 into by 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 evenly, and I'll have an evenly spaced number line. So it's proportionally correct. So on the first one, we said we're going to separate in halves, and I told you it's 24 all the way across, so halfway across would be 12. So I'll go ahead and count 12 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And you can see I pre-marked my number line. My beginning is 0, and my end is 1. So my first fraction I'm going to identify on there is 0 halves. Okay, my next one, the one that I marked, is 1/2. And all the way over here at 1 is 2 halves, or 1 whole. And 1/2, I'm going to mark a dot for 1/2. And so that represents 1/2 on my number line. The next one we're going to do is thirds. And since I'm 24 lines across, if I want to separate in 3 equal parts, 24 divided by 3 is 8. So if I count 8 over, that'll get me to my 1/3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that's 1/3. I'll count over 8 more, and that'll get me to 2/3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 8 more gets me to 1 whole. So my first mark on my number line is 0/3. Okay, the first mark away from 0 is 1/3. The next one is 2/3. And all the way over here at 1 is 3/3 or 1 whole. So my next number line, I'm going to break it into fourths. I know 24 divided by 4 is 6. So if I count 6 over, that'll get me to 1/4. Oh, I forgot to mark that's my 1/3 on my number line. So we said 6 over will get me 4 equal spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that gets me halfway right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 6 more gets me to 1 whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So my first mark on my number line is 0/4. My next one is 1/4, which is what I'm identifying on my number line. 1/4. I'll go ahead and mark the rest of them. 2/4. Which is exactly halfway, 3/4, and 4/4 makes 1 whole. Okay, whenever we're dealing with number lines and we have areas that aren't marked, it's very helpful to go ahead and mark all the lines, because you're always going to have at least 2 points marked, and that way if you make a decision on, okay, well, I'm counting by 4s or whatever, you can go ahead and go all the way over and make sure it lines up and it works. So we're going to divide our next number line into sixths. Kind of cheat really quick. I know 6 is an even number, so it's one of the fractions is going to be equal to a half. But I know 24 divided by 6 is 4. So if I count over 4, that's going to give me 4 sections in between each one of my tally marks there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more is going to get me halfway. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 4 more gets me to a whole. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my first annotation I'm making on my number line is 0/6. This one right here is 1/6, which is the one I'm identifying. 1/6. Next one is 2/6. My next one is 3/6, which is equivalent to a half. I have 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6, which is equal to 1 whole. And my last one I'm separating into eighths. So I know 24 divided by 8 is 3. So there's going to be 3 marks in between each one of my hash marks on my number line. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go ahead and mark my halfway too. Right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 more gets me to half. 1, 2, 3. Or 4/8, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 3 more gets me to whole. 1, 2, 3. So the first one I'm going to make is 0/8. Then the one that I'm identifying is 1/8, which is right here. 1/8. 2/8. If you look, that's equal to 1/4. 3/8. 4/8, which is equal to a half. 5/8. 6/8, which is equivalent to 3/4. 7/8, and 8/8, which is equal to 1 whole. So this is how we identify points on a number line. Like I said, whenever we have a number line and we have missing points on there, instead of guessing what it is, go ahead and label all the points on the number line, and that's going to make it easier to identify points on a number line and get them correct 100% of the time. I'm going to represent fractions using a strip diagram. And like I said earlier in 3rd grade, these are the denominators that we use. So we need to go ahead and break our strip diagram into these amount of equal spaces. So into 2 equal parts, into 3 equal parts, into 4 equal parts, into 6 equal parts, and 8 equal parts. So when I'm making a strip diagram, I need to make sure my strips are equally spaced by halves, thirds, fourths, sixths, and eighths. So this is how it is. Very similar to how we do the number line. You can see I already counted 24 over, so you didn't have to sit here and watch me count to 24. But that's 24 over. So my first strip, I'm going to represent 1 whole with my first strip. I'm going to use a ruler so it looks a little bit neater. So my first strip is going to represent 1 whole. Bring it down here. So that represents 1 whole. So my next strip that I make, I'm going to make it represent halves. So I'm going to just go straight down from that. Save me drawing another line. And if I want to break it in halves, I know there's 24 lines all the way across there. So halfway would be 12. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So this is exactly halfway. There should be 12 more. That looks good to me. So my next one I'm going to do, that's halves. That's 1 half, and that's 1 half. My next one I'm going to do is thirds. And we know that this 24 lines is one whole. So if I want to break it into 3 equal parts, I'd have to divide 24 by 3. And 24 divided by 3 is 8, because 8 times 3 is 24. So I count over 8 lines. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's 1/3. Count over 8 more. That should be 2/3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's another third. And there should be 8 more lines left there. So next thing I'm going to represent is force. We'll be able to cheat a little bit on our force, because since 4 is an even number, I know 2 force is going to be right there. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. So if I count 6 over, that's going to get me to my first force. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's 1/4. That's my second fourth. So I count over 6 more. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's my third. I put a half there, didn't I? That's my third fourth, and this is my fourth, which gets me to 1 whole. Okay, next thing I'm going to represent are sixths. So I'm breaking it into 6 equal parts. And since we already divided 24 by 4 and figured out it's 6, that means 24 divided by 6 would be 4. And 6 is an even number, so there's going to be one of them is going to be equivalent to a half. So I'm going to kind of cheat and draw that line right there. But I'll go ahead and count over 4 to get to my first 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1/6. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my second 6. I have my third 6 there already, because we said 3 6 is equal to 1/2. 1, 2, 3, 4. My fourth sixth. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my fifth sixth, and my last 6 right there, which is 6 6 equals 1 whole. And the last fraction I'm going to represent with the strip diagram are eighths. Use my ruler, get a straight line here. And we knew that, well, first off, 8's an even number, so there's going to be one that's going to be equal to half. And we already said that 24 divided by 3 is 8, so 24 divided by 8 would be 3. So 3, that's 1/8. 1, 2, 3. That's an 1/8. 1, 2, 3. That's an 1/8. There's another 1/8, my fourth 1/8 right there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's my eighth right there, which equals 1 whole. So, typically on with strip diagrams, we shade in what part we're representing. So if I want to represent 2/3, I would go to my denominator 3, and I would shade in all the way, all that right there. A little bit neater there. Okay. Or say if I want to represent 4/6, I go on my 6th line, I count over 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I shade in 4 of the 6th. That would represent 4/6. And right there with that, you can see, we'll use this later on when we start comparing fractions. And we can see that 2/3 is equal to 1/6. I'll write this down the bottom. It's not really today's lesson, but 2/3, numerator and denominator, is equal to 4/6. Okay, we got a problem we're going to look at together right here. Go ahead and follow along as I read. It said, Josie rode her bike 3/4 of a mile on Saturday. On Sunday, she broke the mile up into 8 pieces instead. How many eighths of a mile must she ride in order to travel the same distance? So right here says another way to find equivalent fractions is using a number line. And step 1 is draw a number line for each fraction. Divide the first line into 4 parts because the denominator of the first fraction is 4. Divide the second line into 8 equal parts because the denominator of the fraction is 8. So they did that right here. We have a number line that's broken into 4 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have a number line that's broken into 8 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So step 2 is to label the number line with the fraction that represents each equal part. Put a point on 3/4. So have a number line right here, and I'm going to go ahead and mark all the fractions on this number line. So the first one is 1/4. The next one is 2/4. And this one is 3/4. And 1 whole would have been 4/4. So we're going to put a point on 3/4. Okay, and then the second day, it says step 3, look to see what fraction is at the same location as 3/4. Okay, the fraction that is equal to 3/4 is, so we're going to go ahead and put the point that's lines up with 3/4. And that's going to be right here, right below that. The blue dot right there. And I'll mark all my eighths. My first one would be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 1 whole would be 8/8. So it looks like the fraction that lines up exactly with 3/4 would be 6/8 right there. So that means it says look to see what fraction is at the same point as 3/4. The fraction that is equal to 3/4 is 6/8. So Josie must ride 6/8 of a mile to travel the same distance as 3/4 of a mile. Okay, we're going to start working on some of our guided practice right here. So follow along as I read. It says, what fraction is equivalent to the fraction shown in the picture? And first thing we need to do is figure out what fraction is shown in the picture. Okay, well, that looks right. We'll look at the numerator first. So that's 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts shaded. So my numerator would be 4. And the total amount of pieces would be 5, 6. So the denominator would be 6. So 4/6. So we're going to figure out what fraction is equivalent to 4/6. Look at answer choice A. Is 3/4 equivalent to 4/6? Okay, well, what I'll do first is I'll go ahead and make a number line that represents 4/6. And if you look at all 4 of these number lines here, right here, they're all the same length. And if you can look really close there, I don't know if you can see in the video or not, I kind of cut and pasted 24 lines right there. So from right here to right here is 24 lines, just like I did in my strip diagram, like I did in the video. So since I want to break it into 6 equal parts, 6 is an even number, so I can break that in half. That's right about there. And then on each half, I need to go and break it into 4 or 3 equal parts. So this looks like 1 equal part right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this would be another one. Then over here, I'll do 3 parts. That looks like 1 right there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like 6 equal parts right there. So 4/6 would be, this is 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 1 whole would be 6/6. So 4/6 is right here. And I'll go ahead and mark my number line for 3/4. Fourths is pretty easy, so I just break my number line in half, and I break each half in half, like right there. So 3/4, my first fourth is right here, 2/4, and 3/4. And if you look right there, it does not look like 4/6 and 3/4 are equivalent. So that would be a no. Is 2/3 equivalent to 4/6? Okay, let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to break this number line into 3 equal parts. This is going to be my first part right here. And this is my second part. So this is 1/3. And this is 2/3. And 2/3 is right here on my number line. And just so you don't know that I was just kind of guessing, like I said, there's 24 lines across here. If you count over, 24 divided by 3 is 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then another 8 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is an exact placement on the number line right there. And if you look right here, it does look like 4/6 and 2/3 line up with each other. So I'm going to go and say yes on that. But I'm still going to check my other ones. Is 1/4 equivalent to 4/6? Okay, I can see right here that 1/4 is right here and 4/6 is over there. So no, those are not equivalent. And D, is 1/2 equivalent to 4/6? Okay, I got my last number line down here. And I can break that one right in half. So that would represent 1/2. And you can see that 1/2 is not equal to 4/6, so that would be a no. So my correct answer would be B, 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. We can write that out. 2/3 is equal to 4/6. Okay, it's time again to go ahead and complete your independent practice. I'll go ahead and have a sheet for you to print out so you can do it on paper. I'd also recommend to go ahead and get some scratch paper to draw these models. Just like I showed you in the video here, you can make models to compare your fractions, see if they're equal. I always recommend you doing that. Take your time, do your very best. Make sure you input your answers on the blue puzzle piece. If you have any questions, send your teacher a message, either an email or send a message in Schoology. And like I said, take your time, do your very best, and best of luck to you.